Hello, everyone, and welcome to Daily English Dose. Today, we're going to talk about one of the most insidious traps of the modern age, the information hoarding trap. Every day, hundreds of articles, dozens of podcasts, tons of YouTube videos, books, newsletters, news. Information washes over us like a tsunami from every direction. We feel like we're constantly learning, constantly improving. One day, we read about financial freedom in a podcast. The next day, we read about the future of artificial intelligence in an article. We buy a new book. We open an email about a seminar. Constantly. So, where does all this information go? Be honest. How much of the main idea of a book you read a month ago do you remember? What were the top 3 most important ideas you took away from a video you watched 3 weeks ago? For most of us, the answer is a disheartening silence. We feel like we've become information hoarders, consuming information but never learning anything permanently. This is nothing more than an illusion of learning, because learning is not hoarding information, it's building a mental castle. This video will give you all the tools and strategies you need to build this castle. We'll show you why traditional learning methods don't work, and instead, we'll talk about a method based on the scientific principles of how your brain actually processes and retains information. By the time this video is over, you'll say, "I'll never learn the old way again." Are you ready? Then let's start building your castle. Part 1. The wrong plan, the illusion of passive learning. The first thing you must do when you start building a castle is to know how not to lay the foundation. Most people think that learning is about shoveling information in. We call this passive learning. The best metaphor for passive learning is the leaky bucket. You try to constantly fill a bucket with water, but the bucket has hundreds of holes in the bottom. No matter how much water you pour in, most of it leaks out through the holes. Passive learning is exactly this. Listening to YouTube videos in the background while you work. Listening to a podcast on the subway while your mind wanders. Reading a book while tired, your eyes just gliding over the words. Watching a presentation at a seminar but not taking notes or thinking. All these actions make you feel like you're learning, but in reality, the information enters your mind, flashes in your short-term memory for a moment, and then disappears, just like the water in that leaky bucket. This situation drives us to constantly seek new information because we forget the old, trapping us in a vicious cycle. To escape this trap, you must redraw your castle's plan. You have to stop being a passive recipient and become an active builder. Part 2. The foundation of the castle. The 20% rule. Now, meet our key rule that will ensure your mental castle is built on a solid foundation. The 20% rule. This rule is simple, yet incredibly powerful. For every 1 hour of information you consume, spend at least 15 minutes, 20% of the time, processing that information. Here are some examples of how to apply this rule. When you watch a 20-minute video, set aside 4 minutes, 20% of 20 minutes after it ends. Pause the video and ask yourself these questions. What were the top 3 most important ideas I got from this video? How can I apply this information to my life? When you read a 50-page book chapter, set aside 10 pages, 20% of 50 pages, after you're done. Go over your notes, highlight the important parts, and summarize the information in your own words. When you listen to a 1-hour podcast, set aside 12 minutes, 20% of 60 minutes, after it ends. Record a voice memo of the key ideas you remember from the podcast, or explain what you listened to a friend. This 20% rule forces your brain to shift from passive consumption to active production. This simple action prevents information from disappearing from your short-term memory and provides the cement you need to stick it to the walls of your castle. So, what exactly is this cement made of? That brings us to the bricks of your mental castle. Part 3: The bricks of the castle. The 3 principles of active learning. Every solid castle is built with strong bricks. In your learning journey, we have 3 fundamental bricks: intention, connection, and application. Brick 1: intention. The architect. When you start building a castle, your first job is to have a clear plan of what you're building. It's the same with learning. Instead of blindly diving into information, ask yourself these questions. Why do I want to learn this information? What problem will this information solve for me? When and where do I plan to use this information? The clearer your intention, the more your brain will focus on that information. For example, instead of saying, I should learn something about finance, set a specific intention like, I need to learn the 3 basic rules for creating my own budget. This gives your brain a compass and allows it to filter out unnecessary information. Brick 2: connection. The mason. Every brick must be firmly connected to the others. When learning new information, try to build connections to the existing networks of knowledge in your brain. Our brains are not good at memorizing isolated facts, but they're incredibly effective at linking information into a story or connecting it to what we already know. When you learn a new concept, ask yourself, what does this resemble? What concept I've already learned can I associate it with? For example, if you're learning the concept of interest, relate it to the concepts of renting or lending that you already know. This will create a solid scaffold for the new information. This turns learning into solving a puzzle and embeds the new information into your long-term memory. Brick 3: application. The blacksmith. This is the most crucial but most overlooked stage of learning. A blacksmith doesn't just heat the iron, they hit it with a hammer and shape it to turn it into a solid sword. Using information makes it permanent and useful. Reading or listening to something is just learning its theory. Real learning begins when you apply it. If you took a coding lesson, start a small project right away. If you're learning a new language, have a conversation with a native speaker right away. If you learned a new marketing strategy, launch a small social media campaign. Remember, a bad application is much better than no application. Because application turns theoretical knowledge into practice, allowing you to see your mistakes and understand the information in depth. Part 4: The walls of the castle. Advanced techniques. Once the foundation and bricks of your castle are solid, it's time to build the walls that will make it even stronger. These techniques will take your learning to the next level. The Feynman technique: drawing your castle's map. The famous physicist Richard Feynman had a simple but brilliant technique. Try to explain everything you learn as simply and clearly as if you were explaining it to a 5-year-old who knows nothing about the topic. This technique reveals the gaps in your knowledge and the points you don't truly understand. It forces you to convert complex ideas into simple terms. It allows you to see not only what you know, but also what you don't know. Spaced repetition. The watchtowers of your castle. Embed newly learned information into your long-term memory by reviewing it at specific intervals. Our brains are prone to forgetting, but spaced repetition strengthens the information that's on the verge of being forgotten by reviewing it at the right time. Review a piece of information you learned today after 1 day, 3 days, 1 week, and 1 month. You can use simple flashcards or digital apps for this. This technique ensures that the information doesn't just enter and exit, it gets permanently engraved on the walls of your castle. Today, you've learned that learning is not just about hoarding information, it's about building a mental castle. This castle will protect you against the constant flood of information and will turn you into a master in any field you desire. You now have a plan, a foundation, strong bricks, and impenetrable walls. All you have to do now is start building that castle. Having information is not using it. Using information is understanding it. Learning is not a destination, but a continuous process of construction. If even one idea, one metaphor, one technique you learned in this video makes an impact on your life, that will be our greatest success. And now, think about how you can use this castle full of wisdom for your English learning. Don't just practice listening to English. Turn what you understand into a structure. Stop being a passive listener and become a builder who actively applies what you learn. See every new word you hear as a brick of your castle and connect it to your daily conversations and writing. We hope this video guides you. If this video was helpful and you appreciate our content, don't forget to hit the like button to support us. This will help this video reach more people. If you want to stay with us on this journey, you can also hit the subscribe button. Now, a question for you. Which piece of information from this video will you start building your own mental castle with? What topic do you want to build this castle about? Share it with us in the comments. Remember, consistent listening, confident speaking,